The Denver Broncos have just made a massive leap forward, and it's happening faster than anyone expected. This team isn't just progressing, they're rewriting the timeline. In this episode, we're diving deep into a wave of encouraging injury news, surprising standout performances in team scrimmage, and bold national predictions that are flipping the narrative on this Broncos squad. Let's get straight into it. Let's start with the injury front, and believe me, it's all good news. Alex Singleton, one of the heartbeat leaders of this defense, wasn't expected back until next week. But guess what? He was out there in full pads, defying expectations. Head coach Sean Payton made it clear if this had been a playoff game, Singleton would have suited up without hesitation. The only reason he's being held back right now? Precaution. After undergoing a minor procedure in California, the team wants to avoid the risk of infection, not from the injury itself, but from the intense, physical nature of practice environments. That's how close he is to being fully back. And that's huge, because next week's practices, especially with the 49ers, will give us a real look at the heart of this linebacker unit. Does Alex Singleton lock it down as expected, or does a rising talent like Lavelle Bailey force his way into the picture even more? Either way, this is a great situation for Denver: depth, competition, and momentum. And Singleton's just the beginning. When Dre Greenlaw went down just days ago, many assumed the worst, not just for him, but for the ripple effect across the linebacker scene. But the Broncos? They didn't flinch. They adjusted. And now they look like they're built to absorb that kind of adversity. This team, this locker room, is sending a message. They're not just trying to survive the season. They're preparing to shock it. When Dre Greenlaw was trying to stick with a play against J.K. Dobbins, Broncos fans everywhere were thinking the same thing. Wrap this man in bubble wrap. Protect him. Don't risk anything until week 1. But Greenlaw? He's cut from a different cloth. He refused to sit back. You could see it eating away at him, standing on the sidelines without pads, watching every rep like he was missing oxygen. The man's a warrior. Despite the injury, he's been moving, running, stretching, doing everything except live reps. And from what we've seen, he's going to be ready. Next week's joint practices with the 49ers could get very real very fast. But here's the thing, someone needs to pull him aside. Whether it's Vance Joseph or Sean Payton, someone needs to say, "We need you at 100% when it counts, not just now." Because the long game is the only game that matters. And speaking of long-term vision, look at what the Broncos have done this offseason. They locked in Courtland Sutton and Zach Allen. They brought in proven Pro Bowlers, Talanoa Hufanga, Dre Greenlaw, Evan Engram, guys who don't just fill gaps, they elevate everything around them. Now, the national media is finally catching up to what Broncos country has known all along. This isn't some 5-win rebuild. Last season, Denver shattered expectations. They doubled the win projections. They made the playoffs with a rookie quarterback, no established tight end, and no real run game. And now, that quarterback has weapons. He has protection. He has a defense behind him that looks ferocious. Even Mark Schlereth, a trusted voice in the Mile High, said it. The Broncos could flip the AFC West on its head. And it's not just local belief anymore. Creators, analysts, former players, even the biggest streamers are seeing what's being built in Denver. One of them, a former Packers quarterback and film guy behind Dime Lab, just dropped a deep breakdown praising what the Broncos are putting together. This isn't hype. It's the beginning of something real. Even more voices are joining the chorus. Former NFL quarterback Kirk Bankert recently said he wouldn't be surprised to see the Denver Broncos take over the AFC West. Let that sink in. What started as a whisper is now a storm. Analysts, insiders, and even national media figures are calling the Broncos a legitimate Super Bowl dark horse, and it's not just hype. The pieces are falling into place, and they're doing it fast. Let's talk Bo Nix. Just days after throwing his first interceptions of training camp, the rookie bounced back hard. In the latest scrimmage, he delivered a laser of a touchdown to Courtland Sutton right over Patrick Surtain. Yes, that Patrick Surtain, one of the league's best corners. And it wasn't a broken play. It wasn't luck. It was pure execution. Tight coverage, a contested catch, and a perfect ball from Nix. That's what franchise QBs are built on. And if you're worried about the offense being behind the defense early in camp, Don't be. Defensive units usually settle in faster, especially with scripted practices, where defenders often know the routes ahead of time. So for Nix to make a throw like that under those conditions, that's not normal progress. That's ahead of schedule. And speaking of Sutton, don't sleep on him. He's not going to torch defenses like Deebo Samuel after the catch, but according to advanced metrics, Sutton leads the NFL in some of the most clutch third down stats in the game. And third downs, that's where seasons are won and lost. That's when you need a receiver who refuses to fold, who moves the chains when everything's on the line. That's who Sutton is. That's what this Broncos offense is starting to become. Courtland Sutton wasn't just clutch last season, he was elite. He ranked third in total completions on third down, first in third down receiving yards, and converted a jaw-dropping 27 first downs in high-pressure situations. When it was third and gotta have it, the Broncos went to Sutton and he delivered. But that's not all. He also led the entire NFL in drop rate on third downs, with 0 drops in critical moments. Think about that. Among all the heavily targeted receivers in the league, nobody was more reliable when it mattered most. And yes, Bo Nix already knows it. Outside of just 3 receivers, no one was targeted more by Nix in camp than Sutton. And yet Sutton remained sure-handed, efficient, and dominant, converting more first downs and dropping fewer passes than anyone in that elite group. That's what you build an offense around. And while we're talking about breakout performers, it's time to talk about Jonah Elliss. He's not just ahead of schedule, he's rewriting expectations. Elliss comes from deep football roots, but this isn't just about pedigree, it's about production. At just 21 years old, he was the youngest player in the NFL to record 5 sacks last season. That alone is impressive. But now, he's leveling up. In recent practices, Elliss has been everywhere, racking up sacks, forcing fumbles, recovering turnovers. He's playing with fire and instincts far beyond his years. And even when he didn't show up on the stat sheet last season, his impact was undeniable. One play, one drive, one moment, and you could see it. He helped shift the momentum of the Broncos this season. If this rise continues, Denver might have a new young star ready to explode. Let's rewind to that game against the Raiders, Broncos in their throwbacks, expectations sky high, and yet early on, they were trailing. It felt like the script was slipping. And then everything changed. Patrick Surtain made one of the most electrifying plays of the season, a 100-yard pick six that lit a fire under the entire stadium. It was the moment everything flipped. But go back and watch that play closely. Who caused that interception? Who created the pressure that forced the ball out early? Jonah Elliss. He didn't get the sack. He didn't touch the quarterback. But he refused to give up on the play. His relentless pursuit collapsed the pocket and forced an off-balance throw, which turned into a game-changing touchdown. That's what impact looks like beyond the stat sheet. That's why Jonah Elliss might be one of the most underrated sparks on this defense. And speaking of underrated, it's time to talk about Riley Moss. Despite flying under the radar nationally, Moss has been making noise all over camp. One Denver reporter recently said he couldn't believe how many times Moss's name kept popping up in his notes, and he's right. Last year, Moss played through injury, and that's the only reason his perception dipped. When healthy, he was phenomenal. In fact, there were multiple games where Moss outgraded even Patrick Surtain, according to Puff. One of those games came in Week 3, when Moss lined up against Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and held his ground. He was the highest-graded cornerback in the league that week. Now he's bulked up this offseason. He looks faster, stronger, sharper, and he's playing with something to prove. If people counted him out last season, they're about to be reminded exactly who Riley Moss is. Riley Moss looks locked in. He's playing with fire, showing off the same ball-hawking skills that once turned heads against the Raiders. Remember that jump ball he simply refused to lose? That wasn't luck. That was pure confidence and control. And now, he's moving like he's past the injury. He's stronger, faster, sharper. If Moss is back to his pre-injury form, and you pair that with Justin Simmons and Caden Stearns in the secondary, this defense could become legendary. You might as well start calling it restricted airspace, because nothing's coming through clean. That's how dominant they've looked in camp. That's how far ahead they are, not just in health, but in chemistry and execution. And speaking of bounce backs, let's talk about Audric Estim. Many counted him out after he was benched following the Buffalo game, especially when Sean Payton brought in R.J. Harvey through the draft. The message felt clear. Estim's time might be running out. But Estim has responded like a pro, stacking strong days in camp, grinding through reps, and forcing coaches to take notice. He's battling back, and he's not done yet. Meanwhile, Bo Nix continues to be the story of this camp. For a rookie quarterback, the first NFL offseason is brutal. There's no real downtime from college bowl games to the Senior Bowl to combine prep to team visits, mini camps, and then straight into training camp. Most rookies hit a wall. But Bo Nix, he's blowing past it. This is his first true NFL offseason, and he's taken complete command. From the classroom to the huddle to red zone reps, he's evolving daily. The accuracy, the decision-making, the poise under pressure, it's all coming together, and it's coming fast. Denver might not just have their quarterback of the future. They might already have their quarterback of right now. Bo Nix isn't just ahead of schedule, he's showing traits that most rookies don't even dare attempt. He's pulling off no-look passes and doing it with confidence. It's the kind of move you might expect from a seasoned veteran like Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen in their prime, not a first-year quarterback. But Nix, he's making it work. One of his most impressive moments came last year against the Chargers, stepping up into the pocket, eyes pointed downfield, and then, boom, he delivers a strike in the opposite direction to Devon Veal without ever looking his way. It wasn't just flashy, it was surgical. And it's not a one-time highlight. In the most recent scrimmage, Bo did it again, a no-look dart to Javonte Williams in the red zone. You could see it, his eyes locked on the sideline while the ball floated perfectly into the end zone. That kind of confidence, that kind of command is rare in a rookie. And it tells you everything you need to know about where this kid is mentally. He's not just surviving camp, he's owning it. Meanwhile, head coach Sean Payton is playing just as aggressively off the field. He's been locking in his core guys, getting deals done before the headlines. Last year it was Patrick Surtain and Quinn Miners. This year, Courtland Sutton and Zach Allen got their extensions early. Why? Because Payton knows what happens when a franchise hesitates. He remembers watching the Khalil Mack situation in Oakland years ago, where the Raiders let an elite player walk because they refused to pay him. And he said it himself, if you're not extending a guy like that, what message are you sending your locker room? With Sutton and Allen, Payton isn't just rewarding talent, he's building a culture. A message. A statement to the rest of the team. If you're one of our guys, we take care of you. And that's exactly the kind of leadership that changes everything. The Broncos are building something real, and it's happening from the ground up. Zach Allen was considered a flyer in free agency, and what did he do? He shattered expectations. He became a cornerstone of this defense. And when a player like that rises the way Allen has, there's only one right move: lock him in. If you're not paying guys like Zach Allen, who are you paying? That's the kind of forward-thinking team building Denver is embracing, and it's setting them apart from division rivals who still can't find their footing. Training camp this week has been electric. The momentum is real. And there's no better example of that than Troy Franklin. Last year, Franklin had his struggles, but this offseason, he looks transformed. He's bulked up with 7 to 10 pounds of added muscle, cleaned up the drops, and is playing with a new edge. This isn't the same player. This is a weapon. And don't overlook Evan Engram either. He may have been overlooked in Jacksonville, but in Denver with Bo Nix under center, he's about to thrive. Engram is the joker piece this offense has been missing. The size of a tight end, the agility of a receiver, and a quarterback who can finally unlock his full potential. This isn't just a rebuild anymore. This is a contender. When the Broncos were stuck in the 5-win spiral under Nathaniel Hackett, fans were hoping for a turnaround within 2 or 3 years. But Denver didn't wait. They made the playoffs with a rookie QB and a new head coach. And now? Now it's not just about making the playoffs. It's about winning the AFC West. It's about making a run. And it's about bringing pride back to Broncos country. This team is way ahead of schedule, and the rest of the NFL is about to find out.